Hello and welcome to thestockradio.com. Today we're very happy to have back on the show CEO Julian Rossi from OXYS Systems Inc. OXYS Systems Inc. is a publicly traded company on the OTCQB under the symbol OXYS. Julian, it's great to have you back on the show.
Thank you, Carl. Thanks for having me on the show.
Now, Julian, just for those listeners that may have missed your last interview, can you just briefly tell us about OXYS Systems? What's the company involved in?
Certainly. Thanks for having me again. So OXYS was founded on a simple technology, two powders that are dry and inert, and when they come together, it creates medically pure oxygen. And with this technology, we believe that we can create and have been developing solutions for mass markets, both business and consumer. So the first product we commercialized with this technology is a portable emergency oxygen device for mass layperson use. The idea with the product is that it bridges the gap between the onset of a medical emergency and the time that first responders get there. And like I said, it allows a layperson to do so. Now, we have FDA approval for this product already. For over-the-counter sale, and we have also CE marking approval for Europe. The other interesting thing about this product is that it is a terrific companion product to these defibrillators that you see everywhere now. 15 years ago, nobody knew what an AED was, and now they are getting to be everywhere and growing very rapidly. So the oxygen piece has always been missing. So we saw a terrific opportunity there. It's a ready-made market, essentially. So it's the first market we went after, which is, let's just call it the AED companion market. But that's not the only market, because oxygen fits in most medical emergencies, not just cardiac arrest. And so you're 300 times more likely to need oxygen versus an AED. So one quick way to sum it up and to think about it is, in the foreseeable future, we want to be like an AED, but in the long term, we want to be like a fire extinguisher.
Now, your Model 615 is making spectacular news and saving lives. Tell us a little bit about its advantages.
Well, OXYS is creating a new category in emergency oxygen availability for the mass lay public. So first, it is easy to use. You simply plug in the mask and turn the knob, and the oxygen is then flowing instantly. The label shows you how to do it in a step-by-step way. The second advantage is that it's safe to use. It is not a compressed tank. This means there are no dials, no valves, no regulators, and none of the dangers of tanks. There's no maintenance or hydrostatic testing involved. It can be shipped what we call rescue ready. And as I mentioned before, it's already FDA approved for over-the-counter sale, and there's no prescription required. And as I mentioned before, it's a great companion product to these AEDs, these defibrillators that are out there for post-resuscitation use. And by the way, the install base of AEDs worldwide is somewhere around 3.2 million units and growing at double-digit rates. Again, that is just an immediate ready-made market for us, and beyond that, there are other markets, of course.
Now, talk to us about the expanded market of your product. You touched on it a little bit in your introduction, but maybe just go into that in more detail and tell us a little bit more about that marketplace.
Certainly. As some of your listeners might recall, we started in the K-12 education market, and as a result, we are now in schools and school districts in the U.S. in over 40 states. From there, we expanded into colleges, places of worship, manufacturing, commercial, and so forth. Now, on the international front, we have now a footprint already in countries like the UK, the Netherlands, Belgium, Luxembourg, Australia, New Zealand, Saudi Arabia, Hong Kong, and Macau, and other discussions are ongoing. What's interesting about the international markets is the way we are doing that We would normally go into a country, do a deal with the largest AED distributor or first aid supplier in that market, and we would then exchange a limited exclusivity in exchange for a minimum sales commitment, usually for 2 or 3 years. So that is becoming more of a cookie cutter model, and it gives us nice visibility on the funnel over the next 3 years or so. And it's worked out very well for us so far. Of course, in the U.S., we really can't do that because we have in excess of 40 distributors, and they're all non-exclusive. So that's how we're growing the international market. Finally, we have been doing a significant amount of business with products that are geared towards the military. So that part of the business is growing well for us.
Great. It's such an exciting business, and it's been great to see how you've made advances in the last year since our last interview. Maybe you could highlight some of the advances in 2014, the hard work that yourself and your company have put in. What are some of the results that you've seen?
We've been very pleased with how 2014 has come together for us. A couple of the highlights, we received CE marking approval for the Model 615, so that's been great, and that's opened up the European market for us, of course. We have been honored to have been selected by the United States Patent and Trademark Office to be an exhibitor at their Innovation Expo, which they have conducted jointly with the Smithsonian. So we were able to exhibit our technology as one of 10 companies selected by the USPTO at the National Air and Space Museum on the 1st and the 2nd of November. So that was very exciting for us. On the distribution side, we have signed several U.S. distribution agreements, new ones. People like MSC Industrial, Cardiac Life in New York, Save a Life in Illinois, and then on the international distribution front, we signed a few distribution agreements in Hong Kong, Macau. For example, we signed a $2.4 million contract with Ajad Medical in Saudi Arabia. So those have been great contracts for us. On the organizational front, we have hired Clark Hood as our VP of Resuscitation Sales worldwide. Clark is a 16-year veteran of the AED industry. He was VP of Resuscitation Sales for the number 2 AED manufacturer in the U.S., a company called Cardiac Science. And then generally just kind of on the financial and sales front, our sales were up 50% over the last year. And then on top of that, we've had 9 consecutive quarters of double-digit growth. So overall, 2014 has been very good for us.
Great, Julian. It's wonderful to see. Now, what are some of the plans that you're setting in place, some of the places you'd like to guide the company in 2015? What are some of those goals?
We have several goals for 2015. Of course, we want to continue our expansion. We expect to add between 25 and 30 territory sales managers all across the U.S. And then in addition, we will add distributors to our existing channel. On the international side, we expect to conclude several new international distribution agreements in Europe, Latin America, and Asia. We do plan to have some product additions for the military for sure. We expect to add some third-party solutions that complement and round out our total solution for emergency preparedness and safety. And then we are also working on a tracking system that is cloud-based, so we can do the tracking of AEDs and OXYS units and also incident reporting. So that's also something that's in the works. We do plan to launch a direct-to-consumer campaign, likely targeting asthma markets and other at-risk markets. This will also drive awareness and create sort of a pull-through demand for our distributors and territory managers. And then finally, we have created a medical device platform company here, and so we expect to be making some strategic acquisitions to bolster our organic growth that is already on track. The only other thing I will say, part of that is a capital markets strategy that we have already started working on, and that will result in the company being uplisted to a national stock exchange like NASDAQ or the New York Stock Exchange.
Well, that's great news. I'm sure your investors are very pleased of the progress that's been made and a lot of things to look forward to. Please come back to the show and keep us appraised of all the advancements that you're going to make. Julian, it's always a pleasure speaking to you. Very interesting and wonderful company. We've been speaking to the CEO, Julian Ross from OXYS Systems, Inc. Now, for anybody who'd like to know more about the company and some of the things we've talked about today, the company's website is a rich resource. There you can see the 615 model, as well as a lot of the other things the company's involved in. The website is www.oxysure.com, OXYSURE.com. As well as mentioned, the company is publicly traded currently on the OTCQB. The symbol there, and you can go, of course, get that information from your favorite financial portal. The symbol is OXYS. Julian, always a pleasure speaking to you. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Carl. I appreciate you having me.